This makes no sense to me that there's no volume. And I'm up all the way.
Attorneys and the judges that we honor here today. You have shared them with all of us, all of those late nights away from the family, the hard work that they did for others, and the problems that they kept solving in their minds long after they left the office and went home. You have supported them as they worked with all of us to help move the law forward. So today, we not only honor them, but we honor each and every one of you for your sacrifices, and for those sacrifices, we will always be grateful. So again, I want to thank the members of the Monroe County Bar Association Memorial Committee seated in front of me. Thank you. And I want to thank all those who work to make sure that not only during these observations, but every day, all of us in the legal profession remember and honor the attorneys who have passed on by carrying on their work, carrying on the legal profession, and holding the torch high that they have passed on to all of us. It is now my pleasure to introduce the chair of the Memorial Committee, Mr. Scott Rogoff. Mr. Rogoff.
Judge, thank you so much. And thank you especially, as always, for your sincere and kind words. I'm sure they're echoed by all of us, and they ring so very, very true, particularly for a ceremony like this. And thank you also for presiding over our ceremony today. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us at the Monroe County Bar Association's 2022 Memorial Ceremony. After a 2-year hiatus where we had to conduct this ceremony virtually because of the pandemic, it's certainly nice and, dare I say, very important that we all get together here in person for a lot of the reasons that Judge Taylor explained. So it's great that we are all here today. Members of the judiciary, thank you also, of course, for being here. Honored guests, family, and friends of those attorneys and judges that we pay tribute today. May it please the court, I move that the court open this special proceeding so the Monroe County Bar Association's Memorial Committee can pause today and honor the 39 attorneys of the greater Rochester area who have passed away from September 1, 2021 to September 1, 2022.
Thank you, counsel. Your application is granted. Proceed.
Thank you, Judge. So just before we begin with the reading of the tributes, I'd also like to thank the members of the Memorial Committee and, again, members of the judiciary for being here today. Their presence is especially meaningful as they are here to honor with us those attorneys and judges who have passed and to show support for the families and loved ones who are here. We are also streaming this live, as Judge Taylor said. So those of you joining us, is that the camera over there? Hi, how are you? Welcome. We're glad that you're with us, and please rest assured that your presence is felt with us here in the courtroom. We're glad that you're here. And for the sake of time, and due to the number of attorneys and judges we're going to be honoring today, you'll notice that we have limited the time in which you will hear the live tributes. We did our best to try to keep them as even as possible. But the Bar Association has put together a tribute book. And in that tribute book, you may find much longer tributes, and they will be available after the ceremony to a family member of the honorees. It's also going to be available online. So rest assured that the fuller and greater stories will also be told. So take a few moments. I think you'll find those stories to be inspirational, beautiful, and certainly memorable. Okay. So now I'd like to turn this over to Delaney Glaze, who is going to begin come to the podium, and she will begin the tributes. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I will begin with a tribute to Raja N. Sagaran, Esquire, 1964 to 2021. For 19 years, there was a quiet presence on the town's planning and zoning boards, who led with a calm strength and gentle demeanor. Raja guided us through good times and challenging times with a tenacity that never wavered. The absence of his leadership and laughter has been keenly felt since his sudden passing. Raja joined the Town of Webster family in 2002 and served as counsel to the planning and zoning boards during his tenure. Raja was in solo practice for over 13 years before joining Midday, Miras, and Ricci Law Firm in 2017. At board meetings, Raja was a calming force, and he had a way of conveying the importance of town code with a reserved strength. Despite his soft-spoken tone, you knew there were power behind his words. He guided the members through very contentious cases and always kept his cool, even adding humor to diffuse tense situations. We will greatly miss his presence at our board meetings, where he always arrived wearing a Buffalo Bills hat and a bright smile. Leadership comes in many forms, and Raja's quiet leadership for 19 years will have a lasting impact. He leaves a legacy of service to the town of Webster and will be remembered for his selfless dedication and steadfast counsel. Those of us lucky enough to call him friend will treasure his laughter, his smile, and his kind soul. Rest in peace, dear friend. Respectfully submitted by Catherine Kolick. A tribute to Joseph D. Pichotti, Esquire, 1962 to 2021. Big Joe, as he was affectionately called, could have been given that nickname for the size of his devotion to all things he loved, his family, Harris Beach, his sports teams, the Cleveland Indians and the New York Rangers, and his community causes, the YMCA and the Rochester Police Foundation. Joe graduated from Albany Law School in 1987 and started his career in New York City. He moved back to Rochester in 1989, and was hired by Harris Beach as a litigation associate. Joe was elected partner in 1996. He focused his legal practice on environmental and land use counseling and litigation. He was a zealous advocate for his clients and was annually recognized by the best lawyers, earning the distinction as Lawyer of the Year in land use and environmental law since 2010. Big Joe was many things to his Harris Beach family: a gifted attorney, mentor, and friend. He wore his humanity on his sleeves. His booming voice carried his passions. His big heart was on full display in all he did, and he was often the center of laughter at the firm. There was only one Big Joe at Harris Beach, and he had a unique and special relationship with each and every one of his colleagues and clients. The firm is indebted to his wife, Margaret, and daughters, Sydney and Samantha, as well as his father, Joseph, and sister, Jean, for sharing him for 30-plus years. This summer, a special YMCA fund was created in Joe's name. In a wonderful tribute to Joe's big giving spirit, the fund raised $30,000 in days, and the YMCA has gratefully named one of the cabins at Camp Corey in Joe's honor. Respectfully submitted by his fellow Harris Beach partners. A tribute to James R. Bowler, Esquire, 1942 to 2022. How can an adequate tribute be paid to a man who has been a friend that I have known from 1966 until the time of his sudden death on January 15th, 2022? Jim was a man who always wanted to be a lawyer and practiced his profession until his retirement in 2017. It was during that time frame that he served as an assistant district attorney for Monroe County and later as a clerk to Supreme Court Justice, the Honorable Raymond E. Cornelius. When he returned to private practice, he devoted his energy to the needs of his many clients. Being another man for all seasons, Jim was an excellent athlete, a great swimmer, skier, both downhill, cross country. He also was an avid sailor and runner. He was a devoted Red Wings baseball fan, and as a shareholder of Rochester Community Baseball, would be the soloist to intone our national anthem at the annual shareholders dinner. He also enjoyed participation with the Pittsburgh musicals and delighted in being in the chorus of numerous productions. If you were looking for Jim on a Saturday evening, he could always be found at home enjoying the champagne music of Lawrence Welk. Having been blessed with great parents and educated by the Sisters of Notre Dame at Holy Redeemer Elementary School in Rochester, by the Jesuits at McQuaid Jesuit High School and the College of the Holy Cross, as well as at Fordham University Law School, he was a devout Catholic and led an exemplary Christian life. His passing is a great personal loss to me, as to the community. Respectfully submitted by Paul E. Mora. Thank you.
A tribute to Robert C. Foster, 1950 to 2021. Robert C. Foster, Penn Yan attorney for 44 years, died unexpectedly on April 9, 2021. A native of Auburn, New York, Bob was the oldest of 5 children, and he grew up in a close-knit, fun-loving Irish Catholic family. Bob focused his law practice on real estates, trust and estates, and elder law. He also served as the attorney for the town of Milo for over 40 years. Bob truly enjoyed being a lawyer and was devoted to the many clients he served, working evenings, weekends, and even from his hospital room during stays at Strong Memorial Hospital. Clients often described him not only as their trusted advisor, but as their friend. Above all else, Bob's greatest joy was being a husband, father, and grandfather. Nothing surpassed his deep love for his wife, Carolyn, their 3 children, Kara Foster, Megan Foster Barkley, and John Foster, his son-in-law, Ryan Barkley, and his grandson, Graham Robert Barkley. Renal failure in 2005 and 6 years of dialysis did not slow Bob down. He juggled the demands of dialysis with his law practice and raising a family, sometimes rising at 3 a.m. for the early dialysis shift so he could attend his children's concerts and sports games. In 2011, Bob received a kidney transplant from an anonymous donor. This precious gift enabled him to return to a more normal life until it was necessary to start receiving dialysis again in November of 2020. Despite the health challenges he faced, Bob never let those challenges define him. The quiet courage, tenacity, and strength with which he lived his life have been an inspiration to us all. Respectfully submitted by the family of Robert C. Foster. A tribute to Lawrence I. Heller, 1947 to 2022. Lawrence Heller, Larry, died peacefully on March 20th, 2022 at the age of 75. Born in Elmont, New York, Larry was a graduate of the Cornell University Industrial and Labor Relations School and Duke Law School. As one of the last solo practitioners, Larry specialized in Social Security disability law for much of his legal career. He also did pro bono work for the Penfield Volunteer Ambulance Service for many years. Larry was, among other things, a Mets, Knicks, and Bills fan, so it was a tough 35 years for his teams, although not really anymore. Larry also collected rubber ducks. For a time, his collection was prominently displayed at the Strong Museum of Play. Some can still be found there and at Artisan Works. Larry is survived by Brenda, his wife of 52 years, his brothers, Michael and Jeffrey, his son, Russell Heller, who is also an attorney, his daughter, Sarah Heller Hayfitz, and her husband, David, and his granddaughters, Lucy May and Annie June, who were the lights of his life. Larry will be missed on the golf course, the pickleball court, and at the bridge table. He has been dearly missed by his family since his passing. Respectfully submitted by the family of Lawrence Heller. A tribute to James L. Sapienza, 1932 to 2022. Jim was a thoughtful, principled, and deeply sympathetic man. He lived simply so he had the time and resources to help others. He was a treasure of wisdom and kindness and could sense when someone needed help. He always did the right thing and offered quiet support to people in need. He lived a life that made his family and colleagues proud and one worth emulating. Jim died in April 2022 at the age of 90. He is survived by his wife of 54 years, Anne Sapienza, their two sons, James and Michael, their daughter Joan, and many extended family, friends, and colleagues. Jim grew up in a large family in Macedon, New York, with 2 sisters and 6 brothers. Jim was in ROTC at Niagara University, and after graduating in 1953, he enlisted in the Army. After the Korean War, Jim attended Syracuse University Law School, where he became a resident advisor in a dorm made up entirely of veterans. At the start of Jim's law career, he partnered with John Wilson in Palmyra. In 1968, he opened his own practice. He later partnered with Bill Coker. Jim was deeply involved with his clients' families and the legal community. Jim's 60-year legal career mainly focused on real estate and estate work. He also served as the attorney for the town of Walworth and as the Palmyra town justice. For 47 years, Jim was the village attorney of Macedon. He will be greatly missed. Respectfully submitted by the family of James Sapienza.
Good morning, everyone. A tribute to Diane S. Katz, 1942 to 2021. Bright, check. Sense of humor, check. Exceptional writer, check. These attributes only begin to describe my deeply mourned law partner, Diane Katz. In truth, and that's what Diane both delivered and demanded, she was very, very much more. Diane was consistently and genuinely kind. Although she had left her first career as a caseworker for the Monroe County DSS at 40 for the study and practice of law, she never left behind her kindness and respect for all people. Her kindness informed her life and her practice of law. Diane's facility with language, the law, and decision-making never compromised her kindness. No arrogance in Diane. Diane loved to laugh, loved a good joke, and often said the characteristic she most found attractive in her fellow humans was a sense of humor. And when the joke was on her, she laughed the hardest and told the story on herself without regard to how the joke made her look. Diane cared about each and every one of her adoption cases and empowered those who could not speak for themselves, whether child, surrendering parent, adoptive parents, or foster parents. The Fourth Department recognized her exceptionalism by naming her Dillon Attorney for the Child of the Year. Initially, and literally, generations of judges named her as AFC in the most intricate and difficult cases, knowing that she was the very best at what she did and brought her very best to each case, leading always with kindness. Her law partners, clients, friends, and family all miss her. Respectfully submitted by Stuart L. Levison, partner, Allen and O'Brien. A tribute to Charles Nosey, 1947 to 2022. Charles T. Nosey was a practicing attorney for 50 years. He graduated from Niagara University and the University at Buffalo Law School. He served in the Monroe County Public Defender's Office for 3 years, over 35 years in private practice, and 5 years as the Monroe County Conflict Defender. Above all else, Charles valued his family. He was driven by his Catholic faith and was called to serve God through helping others. Charles lived his life with humor, intellect, and integrity. After he passed, we received numerous calls from lawyers and judges expressing their condolences, but more significantly, and to a person, expressing their gratitude for the joy he brought to their lives. Dad, as I'm certain most of you know, loved an audience, whether it was telling his latest joke or just engaging in conversation. But he also possessed the gift of listening closely to others, especially those in need. His healing gift of compassion was felt by all he touched. Beloved husband, father, brother, uncle, nephew, and friend. Truly, he will be missed and his memory forever cherished. Respectfully submitted, Louis Nosey. A tribute to Raquel B. Stillwell, 1978 to 2022. Our dear friend and colleague, Raquel Stillwell, left us on August 1st, 2022, at the age of 43, after a 3.5-year battle with breast cancer. Her death, while difficult to accept, is overshadowed by her beautiful life and legacy. Raquel Stillwell was a rare individual. I know we are all rare, but in Raquel's case, I say this because she was bursting at the seams with life, yet so frank and so no frills. Honesty was her marker, and it was like fresh air. Her dad declared in his eulogy at her funeral, Raquel lived multiple lives in one short span of 43 years. Raquel concentrated her legal practice in corporate and real estate matters, working in private practice at McConville, Considine, Kuhlman & Moore, and PC for well over a decade before transitioning to contract administration at L3 Harris Technologies for the last 6 years. An excellent attorney, she was always in it for the client, providing advice that was smart, practical, concise, accessible, and honest. A wife, mom, stepmom, and daughter. Family was the most important thing to Raquel. She molded everything in her life around that priority. Her journey with cancer the past few years very much crystallized that commitment. It was a bittersweet honor to witness. Raquel, a graduate of Churchville Chili High School, SUNY Geneseo, and the University of Syracuse Law School, was a member of Towpath Fife and Drum Corps, an avid cyclist, a hunter, loved outdoors, music, lobster, and a good laugh, and a good frolic and detour off the beaten path to do something joyful. We will all miss her profoundly. It was an honor to cross paths with Raquel. She is branded in our memory now and will always inspire. Respectfully submitted, Mary Ognebeam, Esquire.
A tribute to William C. Kelly, Esquire. Formerly, he was the Honorable William C. Kelly, Esquire. Most people call him Bill, or Judge, or Chief. Admitted to practice in law in New York in 1954, William Clarence Kelly was a lifelong lawyer and politician in Chili and Monroe County, elected as town councilman, county legislator, town attorney, town supervisor, and justice of the peace. That's where Judge came from. He was a Chili Fire Department volunteer and captain in 1958. That's where Chief came from. Bill represented several local fire departments. To many people, he was Bill, honest, sincere, humorous, and supportive. Bill's love for people, community, and country drove him. It never waned. As an attorney offering affordable fees and flexible hours, he saw clients in the evening. Many delivered their farm produce or home-cooked meals in appreciation. Captain JAGC William C. Kelly served in the United States Army Reserve for 14 years. As county legislator, he chaired Monroe County's sesquicentennial. Books were written, historical medals produced, commemorative plaques issued, and he secured a Blue Angels performance. He worked diligently to upgrade roads, enabling expansion of Rochester's airport. As Chi-Li Town Supervisor, he spearheaded a new town hall and library complex. Bill implemented a program for Chi-Li firefighters, encouraging a strong volunteer base. In 1997, he advanced numerous activities for Chi-Li's sesquicentennial. He oversaw expansion of Black Creek Park. Union Station Park was started under his leadership. Those are just a few of his accomplishments. People knew him, loved him, and will remember him because he was their friend, one of them, which gives his title of honorable a much deeper meaning. Respectfully submitted, the family of William Kelly. A tribute to Honorable Edmund A. Calvaruso, 1943 to 2022. Judge Calvaruso passed away on January 12, 2022, survived by his wife, Joanne, children, Andrea Perron Esquire and her husband, Matthew, Dr. Francine Calvaruso, Todd and Stephanie Calvaruso, grandchildren, mother-in-law, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, nieces, cousins, and many friends. He was a devoted husband and father, a loving son, brother, cousin, and friend, as well as a dedicated jurist and a superior lawyer. On a personal level, he loved to cook and enjoyed golf. He was passionate about basketball, having played the game in high school and college. He coached CYO basketball at Holy Cross School. He hardly ever missed attending the Big East tournament in New York City's Madison Square Garden. And while he was a fan of Syracuse and Jim Boeheim, he always rooted for his law school alma mater, St. John's. Ed practiced law with his brother Francis in an association with others from 1970 to 1990. In his early years, he also served his community as the Rochester City Clerk, as an assistant public defender. He was involved in many not-for-profit community activities, including serving as Director of Special Olympics, Director of Italian Charities, co-founder of St. John Fisher University Justinian Society, New York State Surrogate Advisory Committee, and New York State Surrogate Court Association, to name a few. But most of all, Judge Calvaruso will be remembered by all who knew him for his engaging personality and the joy he took in his daily encounters with peers, family, friends, and strangers. Respectfully submitted, Frank B. Iacovangelo. A tribute to Thomas Calandra Esquire, 1938 to 2022. On March 11th, 2022, the entire western region of New York State lost one of its most accomplished, dedicated, and consummate attorneys. Thomas D. Calandra, a prominent and widely recognized criminal defense and trial attorney whose stellar career spanned 50 years, lost a hard-fought and courageous battle with kidney renal disease. Following his service in the United States Navy, Tom attended Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, graduating with degrees in business administration and his Juris Doctor in 1966, and was thereafter admitted to the New York bar that same year. In 1968, he was appointed as the first public defender in Orleans County. Over the years, Tom built a large and successful practice with an office in Brockport, New York, wherein his many clients were as loyal and devoted to him as he was to them. Throughout his long career, Tom litigated many high-profile cases where he intrepidly fought tirelessly on behalf of his client and treated each one as if it was his most important. Following his retirement from the practice of law in 2015, Tom enjoyed trips to Las Vegas, where he spent his time at his Navy friend's gym, watching young boxers spar, as well as winters in Florida, visiting with his daughters, grandchildren, and friends. Tom will be forever missed and live on in the memories of his loving family, dear friends, many clients, and fellow attorneys. Respectfully submitted, John F. Speranza, Esquire.
A tribute to the Honorable Arnold F. Chacho, 1929 to 2021. Arnold Chacho, former Monroe County surrogate judge, died following a long illness on November 1st, 2021. He was 91. He attended Rochester Public Schools, including Benjamin Franklin High School, and went on to the University of Rochester, where he excelled as a government major and was active in student affairs. He, quote, walked on